God, God, God. No. The Incredibles, directed by Brad Bird, and is the sixth Pixar movie overall. So The Incredibles tells the story set in a golden age of superheroes in a prologue which explains that Mr. Incredible in his prime was, the greatest hero of them all. He marries Elastigirl and turns down his biggest fan, Buzzy, who wants to become his sidekick, and then 15 years later, they have three kids, Violet, Dash, and Jack, all with superpowers that they inherited from their mum and dad. But then disaster strikes when a superhero curfew is established by the government, since Mr. Incredible saved somebody who was attempting suicide and didn't want to be saved. So now the family must adjust to normal life, and Bob he's tired of his boring life with his boring normal job until he's offered an opportunity by a mysterious woman, Mirage, and her boss to come to an island to battle an Omnidroid, but it turns out to be a death trap set up by his arch nemesis, Syndrome. So it's up to Helen and the kids to get involved in the action, save Bob, defeat Syndrome and his Omnidroid, save their city, and become the Incredibles. The Incredibles is simply incredible. It deserves the title The Incredibles. That's the right word to describe it. This is Pixar at their absolute best. They were on their A mark with this movie. But I've always loved Brad Bird as a director. He's made some of the best animated movies ever made, like The Iron Giant and Ratatouille. I will be reviewing Ratatouille very soon, and I'll get to The Iron Giant someday. Love that movie. But The Incredibles has always been a special Pixar movie for me and my family. I'd go as far as saying it's better than Finding Nemo. It's my third favourite of the bunch. I've always wanted to see a superhero movie animated, and this movie proved that superhero movies can be done just as well in animation as well as live action. And it's more than just an animated superhero movie. It's incredibly sophisticated. It took the superhero genre and did something fresh with it. Heck, at the time, it was probably the best superhero movie ever made, next to the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films in the early 2000s. This was probably the darkest superhero movie before The Dark Knight. Yeah, that's right. This is the funnest, darkest, and most epic Pixar movie of all time, in my opinion, which is why it had such appeal to me. My cousin absolutely loves it too, and I agree with her. I have a blast with this movie every time, and me and my family. The theme of family is so prominent and poignant here. It really makes you appreciate your family and how much stronger a family is when they stand together. And The Incredibles, the family, are all identifiable, likeable, and badass. Yeah, and their powers define their personality, which is a genius idea. Mr. Incredible with his super strength, and Elastigirl with her stretch, and Violet with the ability to turn invisible and create force fields, and Dash with his speed, is deeply satisfying. Yes, Bob Parr, Mr. Incredible, is much more realistic than your average generic hero. He's just like Batman, Wonder Woman, and Spider-Man, where they face personal life issues. He's a good man who just wants to see justice in the world. Imagine if you just wanted to help someone, but you were constantly told not to. I'd be frustrated too. His relatable flaw is that he's so gullible because of all the stress in his life and is easily tricked by Syndrome, and it's really his story to learn to never take his family for granted, as without them, what does he have? And Elastigirl, quite possibly one of the strongest, toughest mother characters ever created. How she can cope with being a wife and mother to three superpowered kids is unbelievable, and it's rad that we get to see her fight too, and kick whoop plenty of ass in the climax, and the two kids, Violet and Dash. I'm crazy about both of them. Their Civil Ring rivalry really spoke to me, since I had a bit of a Civil Ring rivalry with my sister when we were both young. But despite all their arguments, deep down they will always love each other. This is how you write a brother and sister, and I love how Violet starts out really shy, but eventually becomes a total badass, and Dash's cocky attitude makes him so lovable, and I'm okay that Jack gets the least to do of the family, because he is only an infant, so the mission would have been a bit dangerous for him, and his awesome scene was rightfully saved till the end. He held all the screen time he needs, and Frozone / Lucius Best, I'm so glad they included him in the movie, because he provides many of the fun scenes, two in particular, like after him and Bob rescued some civilians from a burning building, and he just freezes this police officer dead in his tracks when he's like, "I'm thirsty, I'm just getting a drink." Now freeze. And he also gets one hilarious moment with his wife when she takes away his suit when the Omnidroid is destroying the city, and he's like, "Honey, where's my super suit?" Just so fucking funny. And and he's a damn good loyal friend who sticks with Bob and the family, and even participates in the climax. And of all the side characters, Mirage is probably the most interesting. You think she's a villain at first, but no, there's much more to her than that. She comes to realise trusting Syndrome was a huge mistake after she sees that he sees her as completely dispensable in the scene where Mr. Incredible threatens to crush her, and Syndrome doesn't give a shit if he does. Yeah, she showed redemption. Hope we see her again in Incredibles 2. And this movie even has an awesome villain in the form of Syndrome / Buzzy. I'm so glad they chose to show that him and Mr. Incredible had a history together in the prologue, which really enhances their rivalry and tries to give a lot of personality to Syndrome. And it helps you understand why he is so pissed off with Mr. Incredible. Syndrome, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated Pixar villains. He's one of the most evil and most menacing, and I actually think he was beyond irredeemable and deserved to die. And if you think about it, he tried to, he sent missiles to try and murder an innocent mother and her kids. He tried to kidnap a baby. He murdered countless other superheroes, all for his own pleasure, the bastard. And I was so happy when he got his comeuppance in the finale. I was like, well, got what he deserved, if you ask me. Edna Mode is fantastic as well. Brad Bird does a stellar voice acting job voicing her, and her philosophy, no capes, is the movie's definitive joke. Duh. My cape's got stuck again. Why didn't I listen to Edna? Yeah, Batman, Superman, you might want to take Edna's advice. People say the film's too long, but I disagree. There's always something happening in those 2 hours, so the movie's flawlessly paced for me, and the first hour has some of my favourite, most iconic Pixar scenes, literally, like the dinner fight and the moment when Bob grabs his arsehole boss and tosses him through 5 walls. Man, those scenes are classic. I'm glad that The Incredibles weren't just a perfect family with no conflicts to resolve. That would be boring. All of their life situations that they're all going through are so relatable. You care about these characters so much, you see yourself in them. This movie stands out from other movies in the Pixar canon as it's the only one with a full human cast. The animation's also different from other Pixar efforts. It feels like a comic book, which works for this movie since it's about superheroes, and it's so colourful and the characters are actually designed like superheroes. There's not actually a comic book of The Incredibles. They're an original superhero family, but I wish there was. They are the Fantastic Four done right, or Fantastic Five if you count Jack. And the action sequences are just... All the action happens in the second half of the movie, and this is when the movie gets truly incredible. The action scenes, all of them will blow your mind. When was the last time an animated movie had action this good? The Nostalgia Critic said he wanted more action from this movie, and not just in the last thirds, but we needed the first hour for all the character development, so the second half can just have fun and be all-out explosive battles. I love the first battle between Mr. Incredible and the Omnidroid. That's one of my favourites, but the part where Helen and Violet and Dash save Bob from the island and are just taking on Syndrome's men together, that's when the Incredibles team is officially formed. That's one of the coolest parts of the whole movie. It's what we've wanted to see. And Dash even gets to run on water. Man, that's awesome. To the sensational climax of the Incredibles and Frozone all taking on the Omnidroids together. And the Michael Giacchino musical score is sensational. I remember all of the themes in my head even today. And the Incredibles, I said it's the darkest Pixar movie. There's one scene that I think is way too heavy for even the kids to handle, where Syndrome sends these 2 missiles to blow up the jet which Helen, Violence and Dash are on in front of Mr. Incredible. He's killing his wife and kids as revenge. That's just so cold-blooded of him. This movie has balls and takes risks which other Pixar movies don't. And I can't find any complaints with this movie. I crave it. It's one of my all-time favourite Pixar movies and one of my favourite animated movies of all time, easily. And good news, next year we finally get the long overdue sequel, The Incredibles 2, which had better be just as incredible as the first. My expectations for that are sky high. How the hell did Cars get a sequel before The Incredibles? I'll never know, but it had better open from where the cliffhanger left off with the family battling the Underminer. I give The Incredibles 5 stars out of 5. I know I've repeated the word incredible in this review over and over again, but that's what this movie is, just incredible. Well, I love you guys, thank you for watching, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. What do you think of The Incredibles? Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter and on Google+. And I'll see you next time when I review Logan Lucky, which I recently just saw. I'll see you then. Bye, guys.